Do you have a Jewish Jesus?
Is that a rude question?
Did you know Jesus was a Jew?
Shalom, my friends. My name is Eliezer Margalit, and welcome to Red, White, and Jew, a Jewish storytelling and commentary channel, where we deep dive into topics important to Jews worldwide. I want to begin by expressing my most heartfelt gratitude to the over 1,000 people who watched my Hanukkah video, and welcome to our new subscribers as well. Now let's get into today's topic. This year, Hanukkah commenced on Christmas Day, which is an extremely rare occurrence which hasn't happened since 2005. That being said, Mr. Jesus Christ himself is the subject of today's video. This was my favorite picture that came up when I typed in historically accurate Jesus. I do not know what this is based off of, but he looks Semitic and he looks wise. So this guy will be our Jesus for today. I'm sure many of you have seen content from pro-Palestine activism type accounts, proclaiming that Jesus was a Palestinian.
Huh? What? Oh. Okay.
Now, I've always thought Jesus being Jewish was on the same level of common knowledge as the sky being blue or water being wet, right? The first time I saw one of these posts, I literally thought it was a parody, poking fun at the fanatical antics of leftists who jumped on this bandwagon. It didn't take me long to realize these people were being serious, and I couldn't help but laugh. The statement was so ridiculously absurd, I naively assumed that by Christmas 2024, this segment of discourse would fizzle out. I was completely wrong about that. While I am a passionate Zionist, I am not someone who completely renounces people whose opinions and ideologies do not match my own. This contrast is important when it comes to challenging and strengthening one's beliefs and values. If there's one thing that unites Zionists and pro-Palestinian activists, it's falling into the trap of letting the emotional intensity of this topic get the better of us.
It's nothing against people who are Jewish, but this is not okay.
This is Greeky.
What?
Greeky.
Oh, I thought it was Israel. My bad.
So this year, instead of rolling my eyes, I decided to dive into this topic. One of my majors in college was Jewish studies, but most of my studies were focused on conversational Hebrew and modern Jewish history. So I saw this as an opportunity to expand my knowledge on the ancient history and learn some things about Christianity as well. So for today's video, we will explore the question: was Jesus Palestinian? Are pro-Palestine activists correct and the rest of the world wrong? Let's find out. In a humble manger in Bethlehem, a child was born who would change the world forever. Jesus of Nazareth grew up as a carpenter's son in ancient Judea, but at age 30 began a ministry that would transform history. For 3 years, he traveled throughout the region, teaching beautiful messages of love, forgiveness, and care for the poor and society's outcasts. He gathered devoted followers, performed miracles according to biblical accounts, and challenged the religious and political authorities of his time. His teachings about God's kingdom and his claims about the divine nature of his message ultimately led to his arrest. Though he had committed no crime, Jesus was crucified by Roman authorities around 33 CE. According to Christian belief, Jesus rose from the dead 3 days later, an event that became the foundation of the Christian faith. Whether seen as a profound teacher, a social revolutionary, or the Son of God, Jesus' impact on human civilization has echoed through 2,000 years of history. Now that we've gotten to know a little bit about Mr. Jesus Christ, let's discuss this Jesus was a Palestinian thing. One of the first things I mentioned was the location of Jesus' birth, Bethlehem. Do you remember the region I named where Bethlehem was located? The land of Judea, which is how the region was known since it was united as a kingdom under King David and Solomon circa 1000 BCE. Names can reveal layers of meaning and history, especially this one. The name Judea is directly linked to Jewish identity throughout history. The word Jew itself comes from the same root word, Yahuda, first referring to someone from Judea and later becoming a broader term for the Jewish people. The name Palestine also has a history as well, but a history that does not begin until about 100 years after the death of Jesus, which already throws a wrench in this narrative. The Roman province was called Judea until 135 CE, some 100 years after Jesus' death, when it was renamed Syria Palestina by Emperor Hadrian. The term Palestine comes from Philistia, referring to the ancient Philistines who lived in part of the coastal region. The scholarly consensus is that Emperor Hadrian renamed the region with this specific name to humiliate the Jews, as the Jews and Philistines had numerous wars and conflicts dating back to 1200 BCE. This is how the land was known for centuries beyond Hadrian's rule, but was often shortened to the Arabic word Philistine. It is important to note that Philistine was a geographical term for the land, not an ethnic or national identity as it is known today. During the reign of the Ottoman Empire from 1516 to 1917, people in this region did not call themselves Palestinians. Instead, the local populations identified themselves by their religious affiliation or their hometown. While Philistine was used as a geographic term to describe the area, it wasn't yet linked to any sense of national identity. At the end of World War II, 2/3 of the world's Jewish population was systematically murdered by Nazi Germany. Millions more were displaced, with no home or community to return to. Some even faced violence when they tried to return to their hometowns. This greatly intensified international support for a Jewish homeland. In 1947, the United Nations voted to partition the British-controlled territory into separate Jewish and Arab states. On May 14, 1948, the State of Israel was established, fulfilling the long-held dream of a Jewish nation. However, neighboring Arab states immediately rejected the partition and invaded, leading to Israel's War of Independence. The conflict resulted in hundreds of thousands of Palestinians fleeing or being expelled from their homes, an event Palestinians refer to as the Nakba, or catastrophe, which remains a defining moment in their national narrative. The founding of the Palestine Liberation Organization in 1964 sparked a new era of Palestinian nationalism and began to view the term Palestinian as a symbol of national pride in response to the creation of the State of Israel. I want to highlight how the usage of the term has evolved significantly over time, from a purely geographic designation to a national and cultural identity. Today, Palestinian primarily refers to the Arab population with historical roots in the region, though the exact definition and implications remain subjects of ongoing discussion. Now that I've laid out the facts as objectively as possible, I want to conclude this video with my own not-so-objective thoughts on this topic. To insist that Jesus was a Palestinian is to unconsciously reveal you don't know much about the region, the history, the people, and this conflict, which seems to be the majority of the participants. Modern terms like Palestinian, Israeli, or Zionist reflect much later political developments, and to apply them to an ancient figure is quite literally the definition of propaganda. It is misleading and disregards many facts that would objectively make these statements false. It would be the same if I claimed Jesus was a Zionist or Jesus was an Israeli. That is also inaccurate. Although the Israeli part is closer to the truth than saying Palestinian, considering the Israelites were associated with Judea. When making commentary on a topic like this, I genuinely do my best to put myself in the shoes of the people I disagree with and look for a middle ground, even if it is small. Frankly, That has been pretty hard in this case. The only way I could kind of see where they are coming from is if they mean to say, if Jesus was born today, he would be a Palestinian, since Bethlehem is located in the West Bank, a Palestinian territory. Now, before our activist friends start writing me their damn novels with their paragraphs, please explain to me how you can genuinely engage with this talking point, considering the original term didn't even emerge until 100 years after Jesus' death? What is hard for me to understand is why Jesus needs to be Palestinian. Jesus being Palestinian has absolutely no bearing on the goals and ideology of pro-Palestinian activism. So why taint your credibility with such a ridiculously false statement? The only benefit I could see from stating this claim is it could potentially appeal to the emotions of Christians and garner support from them. As a Jew, I don't want to speak for Christians, but I imagine if I were a Christian and felt conflicted on which side I should support, I would immediately be turned off at this obvious attempt at emotional manipulation. I would also view this as an insult to my intelligence. Like I said earlier, water is wet, the sky is blue, and Jesus was a Galilean Jew. If there's one thing all the Christians in my life have in common, it's that they are particularly well versed on their religion. I think the majority of them will see right through this. Anyway, I'm simply suggesting that you exercise some discretion with your messaging if you want to use your platform to advocate for Palestinians. I promise you, flat-out incorrect statements that are obviously meant to be emotionally manipulative greatly damage your credibility as a movement. Anyway, I could rant about this for hours, but I better call it a day, or we will be here all day. As always, thank you for tuning in. I look forward to reading your comments. Although given the subject matter, I could easily see myself retracting that statement. Please continue to pray for the hostages in Hamas captivity and for peace in the region. Until next time, Shabbat Shalom, my friends.
Hey, what do you call a Jewish church? Well, do you want to come to real church with me?